Let's talk about the outlook. Annual revenue seen between $7.18 billion and $7.2 billion. The estimate going in had been for $6.27 billion. So quite a beat there when it comes to the expectations. Brent, you can see that reflected in the shares. What do you make of what we learned at the top of the hour?
They're still crushing the numbers. And I think in a world of AI that is getting crushed in software, my coverage universe is going straight south. Palantir's fundamentals are doing extremely well. Cash flow growth, well above forecasts. Their commercial business doing very well. Obviously, if you look at the government business, you can see what's going on in our world and the place they're going to be. So I think the fundamentals are screening high. You obviously have to pay a price, which is it's the single most expensive stock by a factor of 2. So, if we were in a better tape, stock would be up a lot more. We're dealing with a stock that's still 45 times revenue, and it's still one of the most expensive names. And we've had a whole group that's under massive duress because of what is AI going to do. So they're fundamentally in a great spot. Obviously, valuation is why the stock is sold off from over $200 to mid 150s,
right,
is because everyone's checking the valuation and realizing it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Well, valuation being one thing, let's talk a little bit more about fundamentals, because we know that Palantir makes the lion's share of its revenue from its government contracts. We know that there has been a push to maybe diversify that out to commercial contracts as well. What are you seeing there in terms of progress?
Yeah, I mean, the commercial business, they're guiding growth of over 115%. So, I mean, there are not too many companies putting up those numbers, right? We talk about a 10 to 15% growth rate for a lot of the large cap names, and they're pushing 115. So, it's not even really comparable. And I think this goes back to every boardroom globally is thinking about AI. They're thinking about, how do I implement this, whether I'm healthcare or I'm a retail company, whatever your business you're in, you're thinking about this first and foremost in the boardroom. And they've done a great job. You have commercial companies now highlighting them on earnings calls, saying that the product is taking costs out of the supply chain. They're putting people into hospitals faster and getting the right healthcare. So, I mean, they're solving problems, as they say, that no one else can solve. And I think they really solved the puzzle, which was the Tesla problem at the beginning. The car can only shuttle around doctors, lawyers, and people that have 30 years of experience because they're so expensive. And what they figured out is how to bring the software more to the mass market, to more commercial companies, and they have done a really good job of solving this. And so, putting up 115% growth is pretty incredible. And I think it shows they've overcome the problem, which was, where for a very few select people, they're now showing with these numbers that they can address a bigger portion of the commercial market, which is exceptional. And I'd say that the companies that we talk to in our industry that love data are all acknowledging how well Palantir is doing. And so if you talk to Oracle, you talk to many others, even Mark Benioff is talking about, the model of forward deployed engineers. That tells you a lot about, the fundamentals and how they run and the success they're having. And so I think that's when others in the industry are trying to emulate you, you're doing something right. When you put up 115% commercial growth, you're doing something right.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I am curious, though, Brent, if you think this is a company that can actually grow into that valuation a little bit. I mean, we know on the government side, obviously, the ties to the current administration have helped a lot. It's good and encouraging to see them expanding a little bit more on the commercial side. But again, I mean, I know for a lot of investors, fundamentals don't seem to matter anymore. But when I look at these multiples, I just think, when did they grow into that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the pushback. I mean, again, I think we try to rate it in two different parts of our rating. It's a buy fundamentally. It's a strong sell if you had a strong sell on the multiple, because if you look at the next tier down, you have companies like CrowdStrike and some really good companies that are trading, sub 20 times revenue, and this is still 45 times revenue. And so, at $200 plus, we were just like, this doesn't make any sense. on a valuation basis.
Yeah.
And so, you kind of have to basically say, what's the available TAM? Can they grow into that? Can they sustain these rates? Can they sustain the cash flow? And what they're proving is they can do a lot of these things. It's just that's going to take forever for the multiple to come in. And so we saw this with Snowflake. We saw this with many other names we cover. It can just take a long time to grow in. So what we've said is like, you can buy Meta at mid 20 times earnings, but you got to pay 50 times revenue for Palantir. And I'd much rather buy Meta, and Meta's stock's up and Palantir stock is down for the year. So I think our trade-off is like everything has a price, and we look at both fundamentals and valuation. The valuation has just been impossible for many of the long onlys that we cover on the institutional community to stomach. And the good news is we're seeing the software sell-off. We're seeing the multiple. We've seen the stock trade off from over $200 to mid 150s, and it probably finds some support. But the problem that they have going now is the multiple is just, again, we're in a multiple free fall in my entire coverage universe. And so the question is, are they in the AI winner or loser? I think many believe they're in the AI winner. They get a multiple and premium. The question is, what's the premium going to be? Great company. Again, I just can't say, nice enough things about the fundamentals. It's just the valuation also matters.